All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have race number 3 of the Horsepower Racing League here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. 120 laps will be our race distance this evening. Drivers putting down their qualifying laps as they speak, and I say, looking at the track temperatures and weather, say it's a warm one on the track, 127 degrees on the track, 79 degrees on the ambient side of things. So definitely kind of, I say, being in Arizona myself, I'd be loving to have that 79 degrees right now here. But I say drivers putting down their qualifying laps right now. Looks like about 12 drivers here on track this evening. And then I'm bringing in a special guest to join me with tonight's occasion. That is going to be Chris Matthews. So Chris, I appreciate you taking the opportunity to jump in here, have some fun with me, and get to watch these guys try to wrangle these 700-800 horsepower cars at a very short and treacherous 1 mile track here at Phoenix Raceway. It should be a lot of fun to see what these guys have in store for us tonight.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be hot. That right rear is going to be real heavy and worn out by the end of this. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Is how it's kind of that aggression versus kind of how aggressive you can really be, basically, with that right front and the right rear, of course. So you kind of have the both options of trying to burn the right front, of getting in too hard, and of course being real greedy on the throttle with the power these cars have. So I was hearing these cars probably happy for about 20-25 laps. But around that lap 30 or so mark, these things not as happy with life after that. So it's going to be fun to see who can kind of manage it the best. And also talking with Larry, the kind of the admin of the league here, say field window going to be around 70-75 laps most likely. So say if we go green, probably a one-stopper. However, I think any reasonable distance under green flag conditions will probably see a very busy pit road. So we'll have to see, of course, the 3 green-white checker attempts. And actually a fun fact for the series so far in the 2 races, the pole sitter has yet to win the race here. So we'll see if that trend continues as well tonight.
Yeah, I think right now we have Sebastian up there at front. If he gets the pole, maybe he can, try to break that streak right there.
Yeah, so that's one of those streaks you don't want to know about when you're that person in that position. And of course, for a lot of drivers, this is kind of, again, the new reconfigured Phoenix for us as fans. For me, at least, still really getting used to it. Now, say I'll probably multiple times tonight call turn 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4, and vice versa, because just old habits die hard. But I know you've actually got to be at this track for some races recently, Chris. I mean, obviously not a huge change on the layout, of course, of the track itself, but the start-finish line change location. I mean, has that changed anything the way you've watched races? Has it really changed the racing at all, the way they kind of go through maybe 3 and 4 now versus the old 3 and 4 coming to the start-finish line?
Honestly, it really just comes down to the restarts that's kind of changed. But once you get, 2 laps in, everything's the same. You go down to the apron, or you kind of ride that dog leg just to save some tires. And really, right now, like the new 1 and 2, you have so many different options where you can go in high and then kind of diamond it down low, or you can go low and then run it high. You even see some guys go below the yellow line. So there's plenty of options to this track, and it's very exciting. But with the new configuration, I think I think it's a driver's track, and fans love it just as much too.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see it. So obviously it's a slightly smaller field here tonight, so we'll see how that affects maybe the strategies. But you're right, though, and it's a great point you make, even in that new reconfigured 1 and 2, that you can really run low through that section, even like I said, even getting down below the yellow line down to the apron, if you will. So I'll have to see if that comes into play here tonight as well. But looks like qualifying has just completed. And like you mentioned, Chris, looks like overall in our starting grid, it is going to indeed be Sebastian Marin that's going to hang on to that pole position here tonight in that number 23 machine. Then next to him, Levi Cox in the 99 starting in second. Then you got Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, James Heater, Larry Yingling, our top 6, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, and then Devon Brock, Brandon Wengard, Chuck Sweeting, and Tyler Dengler are going to be our 12 racers here this evening. So I'll say, well, we're going to put some people on the spot here, Chris. I'll say we're going to kick it off with our pole sitter, because why not try to keep them on their toes here and make them have to be ready for anything. So we're going to pull our pole sitter in here with that number 23 of Sebastian Marin. And so we're going for the commentators and curse here and jinx early here, Sebastian. So far in the 2 races this season, pole sitter has not won a race in this series. Are you going to break that streak tonight?
I sure hope so. Phoenix has never really been one of my greatest racing tracks. I can get I can put a quality lap down, but I've never been really great racing here. So we'll see. Hopefully, I can stay out front, keep the track position, and hopefully break that streak.
Sebastian and Chris up here in the booth. I definitely hope to see you up front. I've been watching your laps in practice. I think you got it, man. I honestly think you just got to keep the things consistent, and I hope everything goes well for you.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's what you got to do. Try and keep yourself calm and remember to save tires because this race tends to go pretty long green flag run, so don't want to burn up your tires.
All right, man. I say pace cars rolling, so let you focus up. So good luck, and we'll hopefully be chatting with you here soon in about 120 laps, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that's our pulser, Sebastian Marin. And I'd be amiss to not mention as well here, Chris. I'll say for the superstitious side of things here, I'll say racing tonight on Friday the 13th as well. So I don't think there's probably too many superstitious drivers on the grid here tonight. But I don't know if there's anything that really you can do or not do. But this is also one of the big changes here, Chris, with Phoenix is right here. You already see the pace car already on pit road, and so now they've got this long backstretch basically before they actually get things underway. As they can already see the 99 trying to warm up those tires just a little bit here. So say a lot of these drivers have control pretty much once that pace car is off. I think initial start here at HPRL on the green, but then on these restarts could be interesting how early or late do the drivers choose to go. As now the leader's waiting for that green flag to fly. And we are down and away. 120 laps our race distance. And you see right away some traction issues, and definitely Sebastian Marin going for that shortcut to get things underway here.
Definitely immediately to the dog leg. I think a lot of people like to definitely abuse that, and the sim can be unforgiving sometimes when you do that. But right now, I think everyone's going to start trying to use the dog leg until they can't.
Yeah, I say right off the bat, too aggressive from the 28 there, Brian Johnson, Levi Cox trying to see if he can get to the outside. And as Sebastian mentioned, wants to try to keep those tires underneath him, so this is a tough spot to be in. You want to push early and get that track position, like he said, but at the same time, it has to try to be respectful for that right rear tire as well. But does lead that first lap here, but hasn't completely cleared that 99 as you can't even see him out the back, because that is because Levi Cox has got the momentum out of turn number 2, and he's going to take the point here.
Yeah, that run right out too. It'll change over time. I think just run that high line. You'll see a lot of guys run high. You'll see a lot of guys run low, and that's probably one of the best parts about this track. So everyone kind of has that weird line going into here, and everyone has a different braking zone too.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. As you see right there, Levi Cox pretty much up against the wall there in entering turn number 1, and then like I said, makes a late arc. I mean, look at the momentum he carries on the exit there. So. And that's when these guys, they start to learn and they start to kind of like, okay, he's doing this and this is what it's doing for him. Maybe I should adjust that. And so right now, Levi definitely looking to kind of run that looks like kind of a higher lane, maybe a lane or two up compared to the rest of the field. So we'll see. Maybe we see some drivers start to adjust their own lines and maybe do similar with that. As you see right away, Sebastian Marin starting to drift up just a little higher, but he can't get away with it like that 99 can, because he's got Brian Johnson all over the back of him here.
Yeah, definitely. Depending on the feel of the car and the feel of the track, a lot of times you're just going to be leaning on that right rear the higher you go. So if you sit low, you might be slow at the beginning of it, but at the end of your fuel stint, you actually might be the faster guy. So we'll see how far he gets out and see if anyone can catch up or even move through the field.
Yeah, that's a great point. Is that short run versus a long run pace? As I'm talking with Larry Yingling in that 67, he had mentioned during practice that some drivers, probably around that lap 30 or so mark, it's really treacherous, even just through the dog leg, kind of in between turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So maybe even having to do a little bit of throttle control at that point in the race. So we'll definitely be watching from that 67 at some points through tonight too, to see, kind of listening to see if we can hear if those RPMs are kind of starting to spike or things of that nature. But right now, though, again, those top 2 running about a groove or so up. I say probably about 2 grooves for Levi, but then third on back, it looks like Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, pretty much just living right on that white line as we little bobble down the backstretch here for the 18 of James Heater.
Yeah, another big thing about just racing here is just the amount of, you kind of sit here on a line a little bit, just trying to figure out who has the pace and who doesn't, where everyone's good at. This is a track that you can't drive perfectly. You're always going to have some corner that's a problem for you. So I think with these guys, they're just kind of trying to figure out, feel what's going to be best for them on the long run or short run.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. And I said there's ways of driving this track, like I said, kind of being aggressive, like we really kind of saw off the bat by that number 99, being aggressive, really trying to get to the lead, and like I said, maybe just trying to set that pace. And it's also a strategy that they can do where it's like, hey, if I set the pace maybe higher than the guys behind want to do, maybe I can make them burn their stuff up a little bit more. Because let's say you'll always see kind of those trends. Let's say like right now, Sebastian Marin might be running what he feels is a good pace for him. But at the same time though, it's Brian Johnson hasn't found a way to get around him in that number 28 car. So let's say this might be where Sebastian again kind of trying to work both sides here. It's like keep the 99 within distance, then keep the 28 at bay, but also still trying to keep those tires in good shape. So let's say there's a lot of bouncing. Because oh man, that 28 was right on the quarter panel there on the inch at the exit.
And I'm not sure if Brian actually wants to make the pass or not, because when two cars battle here, you're just going to slow everyone up, and we don't want to. I don't think they want to let Levi get away, so I think they're going to try to just kind of sit in this line for a little bit. But if Brian does try to move, he's going to need to do it really quick and really fast.
Yeah, so the longer you stay side by side, the worse it's going to be for everybody. So, but again, I think he wants to get there. It's just the problem is what Sebastian is doing is he's getting a really good exit by running that middle, the high line like we saw Levi do right at the very beginning. So I think that's what's happening. And right now, Levi is going about almost 0.2 of a second quicker. That last time by it was a 28.77 for Levi to a 28.91 for Sebastian. So this time by about 1/10.5. So the pace is definitely there for that number 99 car. And looking through the field here, pretty much everybody else is in the upper 28 second, like 28.9s, 28.8s, since Levi the only one in the 28.7s right now. So looking pretty good for him, as actually looks like the 20 has a bobble here. Oh, I see a little bit of smoke in 3. I think it was Devon Brock, but looks like he's okay in that Budweiser car. But I think that 20 car is starting to have a little bit of difficulty. Looks like he's starting to drop some spots, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he had a little bit of a whoopsie coming out of turn number 2. Just didn't get the car settled too well and went under the apron there.
Now it's like still trying to gather back up. But I think there might be something going on with that 20 car, because he's kind of just moving around a fair bit here, just trying to get things looks like kind of settled back in. So we'll keep an eye on him. I said we'll try to go back and also maybe see if we can find where it all occurred. But not seeing anything in the obvious right now. So we'll jump back up front here, because right now things still holding pretty steady. Looks like the 18 starting to drop off just a little bit from those second, third, and fourth position drivers. But right now, I'd say it's again, Levi's got a pretty comfortable about 0.7 of a second lead. But I'm going to be watching the lap times, like you said, Chris, to see the drop off, but then also to see maybe which drivers start to fall off less over the course of the fuel run. As right now, Sebastian Marin actually was almost a little over 0.2 of a second quicker than Levi the last time by at 28.87 to the 29.13 of Levi.
Yeah, Levi's still using that high line to get good runs off the corner, but he's only about 0.7 up on the field, which is just enough to get still a draft for Sebastian. So I think he's still pulling the train there. Even with this track being a short track, in quotations, you can still get a pretty decent draft going into the corners. And I think just 0.7 is right at that sweet spot.
And I mean, yeah, it feels like Levi's definitely found something with running that pretty much the wall there through 1 and 2. Seems to be very, very comfortable. And again, it looks like he builds really good exit speed out of it as well in doing so. But right now, I mean, we're about to have a party for pretty much 2nd through 7th, it looks like. Actually, yes, through 7th to Nick Crawford here. I'll say right now, Nick's kind of got the best view of the house here with everybody that's battling right now for those 2nd through 6th positions in front of him. And saying it's not for lack of effort. I think that 28's been trying to find a way, and you can see he's actually moved up a little bit. He's trying to use that kind of the high end, low off momentum here, but hasn't found a way to get around the 23 yet. So I think now Brian feels like he does have the pace, just trying to find a way to get around that 23.
And I think that's what I love so much about this track that you and me call home right now. is that you get drivers, they try to be patient, and then at a certain point you just start searching for different lines, and everyone's moving around now, so no one's no longer on that yellow line. Everyone's kind of just moving around trying to find their space, and I think Brian might be trying to move here in about 2 laps.
Yeah, so he looks like he's definitely got some space, or some pace, I should say, apologies, in that 28. But yeah, like I said, just hasn't found a way. And say kind of the battle of the energy drinks, if you will, as well. You got the 23 Red Bull machine for Sebastian Marin, the 28 Monster Energy car for Brian Johnson. So say I don't think it's something they're thinking about, but always find those little storylines in these things. And so yeah, so got a little energy drink battle going on between these two for second and third.
You ever tried you energy drink person? You which one do you prefer, man?
I have a lot to still go after. I've tried a little bit of each. I will admit, I've been drinking Red Bull a lot more than the others lately. But I say so far, I've tried a variation of the energy drinks, even like those powders, like the G Fuels and stuff like that. So I haven't found the one yet, but they definitely do seem to help a little bit. I just always worry about maybe not wanting to drink those too often, because I know they're not supposed to be the greatest for you, of course.
Oh, definitely.
Let's say, do you have your go-to?
I definitely like Monster's variety of their drinks. I think when it comes to Red Bull, it's not too many, but when you come to Monster, and I've honestly wanted this in NASCAR's, in the Cup Series, where they actually do the can for each different car and not just paint a black car with the Monster logo on it. I think they could really up their paint scheme game if they wanted to.
That's actually a really good point, yeah, because you're right. They do have a ton of variations of each flavors. And something to say that I found, too, is on the Monster side of things, let's say, so Brian Johnson getting some good TV time with this. Some of the cans even have, like, a really interesting texture to them as well, where not what I was expecting. I'm just used to that plastic feel, or I should say metallic feel. But say some of them have a really interesting kind of a texture to them, and definitely caught me by surprise the first time I grabbed one of those cans. So, these guys are very inventive with what they can do. And you're right, though, it's basically a perfect canvas to make some fun and original paint schemes for those Monster Energy cars.
Oh, definitely. By the way, big shout outs to all the drivers and their paint schemes. They are definitely looking pretty fire today.
That's actually a good way to take advantage of it. Let's run through these paint schemes here as we go through the field here. As we're on lap 22 of 120. Say right now you've got Levi Cox in that number 99 Lowe's Chevrolet. I'll say try and see if that might be a Jimmy Johnson throwback. Not 100% sure there, but definitely a good looking scheme there. Say Sebastian Marin, he jumps around between leagues and paint schemes. So over here though, he's definitely been on the Red Bull side of things. And that was always one of my favorite paint schemes on the Red Bull side with Brian Vickers' Casey Kane. That was always a really good looking car. I kind of wish that one would have come back myself. Then third, we just mentioned, of course, that Monster Energy. It's simple, but it works. But you're right, though. I think there's a lot of potential in that paint scheme with the flavors and everything there. And then this one, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fans enjoying this one of that 24 of Jeff Gordon DuPont paint scheme there. So that's always an easy one to go with. There's Zach Hall sitting in that 4th spot. And then
I think personal preference for anyone that's a Gordon fan. For me, any of his silver schemes, anytime Gordon had a silver scheme or even something blue like that Pepsi car, has always been like top tier. I know everyone likes the flames, but anytime he had a silver car, it's just, oh man, chef's kiss.
Yeah, no, that's the fun part, is he had a lot of good associate sponsors and alternate schemes and stuff throughout his career, so you got a lot of good choices for that 24. So I think this is, I'd say, for me, I feel like it's a pretty notable M&M scheme for Kyle Busch, because this was right around when they switched over to that COT, kind of had that aluminum plating on the nose and the side, and that was definitely a love-hate relationship for some drivers with that, or I should say some fans, with that paint scheme that James Heater's driving right now in that 18 car. But I'd say probably arguably one of the times when that 18 was at its most dominant in NASCAR. And then throwing the NASCAR trend, though, you've got Larry Yingling. He's got Muffin Sports Card sponsorship on that 67 machine, and so they've got an Instagram page, and so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a close up. There we go. So get just a slight shot of that Instagram page there. So I say he's able to do some good repping of his sponsorship. Larry's always got some good work over there.
I think my eyes may be deceiving me, but is that a Dodge Charger?
I think that is a Dodge Charger. Yeah, it is indeed. So that's the other fun part, is you can put pretty much whatever manufacturers you want. As we say that, there's Larry. He's going to grab that top 5 around the 18 of James Heater. So I think James is starting to lose those rears like you talked about, Chris. I think that right rear is starting to step out a little bit on the 18 car, so that's going to allow Larry to sneak on by. And that's also going to bring now this 18 of Nick Crawford just a little bit closer. And say looks like, I believe, a rocket ship on the hood of that 11 machine. And say that's going to be his goal, is to get that thing to drive like a rocket ship, to get up into that top 5 and contend for the win here tonight for Nick Crawford. And then say he has kind of distanced himself from that 75 of Chuck Sweeting. This one's an unsponsored Chevy Impala, so you got some sponsorship out there. Chuck looking for some paint schemes and some ideas on that 75, so definitely get in touch with him. And then you get back to the 27 of Devon Brock. Kind of to me, it looks like almost like a Goodwrench that kind of blended into the Budweiser with the kind of the black stripes that go into the red of the Budweiser. I don't know for sure if that's the goal of it, but that's kind of the impression I get. So obviously Dale Jr. fans will definitely be on board with this one here for that number 27 of Devon Brock.
Definitely has that kind of like reverse scheme look to it. I like it. I like the concept of it.
And then bring it over to the Home Depot 20 of Cedric Hunter. Now the question, of course, is which 20 is that? Is that a Tony Stewart 20? Is that a Joey Logano 20 at the time? I lost track of which driver was at the time. The easiest way to be to see if we can see what the name on the door is. But either way, though, that 20 right now holding in the top 10 in that 10th position. And then right behind him, the newest addition to the league here, of that number 5 of Brandon Wengard here, running the Jamie McMurray paint scheme. That one I know well, because I worked with him a little bit on that paint scheme to get it updated to what he was looking for tonight. And right now I think he's just trying to get his feet wet, get familiar with the cars, with the drivers here. It does look like he's got a little bit of some pretty decent right front love, unfortunately, to that car. So he's gonna be hoping for a yellow to get some damage repairs done to it.
Definitely a classic. I think we can call COT cars classic now. It's been a while, but definitely a classic look. I definitely like all the paints that the drivers have tonight.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see some more of that. Hopefully get a few more drivers. And again, for those interested, if you look in the bottom of the YouTube description on the broadcast, the link is on there. It's HPRL for Horsepower Racing League, so definitely take a look. But right now, Chris, we're approaching not quite yet, but getting to about the quarter distance mark here, trying to hit that lap 40 of 120. But right now, that battle between Sebastian Merrin and Brian Johnson, while we went through the whole field, it still persists, and these guys they've separated themselves from fourth on back, but these guys are definitely still putting on a big fight, and it's allowed Levi Cox, so he is actually stretching away. And the fall off is at this point, Chris, about a second and a half based on their best lap time. So I don't think we'll see anybody try the two-stop strategy, maybe splitting it in thirds, but I do think we'll see everybody try to go to at least 60. And then the question will be, do you split it right at the halfway mark, or maybe just run it all the way dry and see if you get a lucky yellow? So that'll be an interesting decision for these guys once we get to that point.
Yeah, and one of the hardest things probably with this track is just try and get to pit road, where you take your normal line like Levi is here, where he's all the way up high. If he's calling for the pits, he's definitely gonna have to lay off the gas for a long time.
Yeah, you can see I was also just watching there as Levi, like I said, was running that same high line there through 1 and 2. But the notably different, though, was Sebastian Merrin and Brian Johnson. They've all found their way all the way up to that outside wall as well. So whatever he's doing, they have taken note of it, and they're definitely starting to duplicate it themselves. Because as we've seen, it's definitely made a big difference as Brian just kissed the wall there a little bit on the entry. I don't think it's going to no harm, no foul there. But yeah, these guys are running the absolute full track width here at Phoenix through turns 1 and 2 now.
And then as the race goes on, a lot of times as a driver, you're just hoping kind of for the car to either settle in, or you guys get a caution, real early, because the car never gets better. I honestly think the car never gets better. You just drive it a little bit easier than everyone else, and that's when everything kind of comes to you. But Brian's just been sitting, at third place, kind of just holding bay, just waiting to see what happens, if he can make a pass or not. I think Brian's kind of just sitting around now.
Yeah, I think he may be hoping for mistakes. We're now on board to hear Larry Yingling chasing down Zach Call, trying to get up to fourth. You can see Larry's definitely got some pace, but man, I'm watching the steering input, and that wheel's going to the right more often than it's going to the left, and I think that just shows that the tire wear they were talking about. Larry had mentioned around 30 laps or so when things would start to get a little sketchy. And you can see here in the middle, 1 and 2, all is good, but as soon as you start trying to put that throttle down, that wheel is always just cranking just a little bit back to the right, just having to do a little bit of counter steer to opposite lock there to get it where he wants it to go. But yeah, it looks like a lot of these guys are definitely starting to struggle for traction, especially on the throttle.
And you can definitely tell by people not using the dog leg anymore. I think I've only seen 1 or 2 cars use it in the last 10 or so laps. So they're definitely trying to just save their tires as much as possible, riding that high line and just getting good runoffs at the corner.
Yeah, exactly right. And so, I mean, these are the battles right now is for that 4th spot between Zach and Larry, and then that 2nd spot between Sebastian and Brian. So I think it's for Larry. I think he's got the pace. He's just got to find the way around. Here's a great opportunity. He gets the kind of the over-under here, and there you go. He's going to use that shortcut there, if you will, through the dog leg. But again, you see, I think he had to get out of the throttle there. That's how much it broke the traction there with the horsepower, with the tire wear. So we'll see now the inside versus the outside line. Can Larry get the power down? And the answer is going to be not quite enough yet as they head back into 3. We'll see if Larry can clear him here on entry. But right now, that 24 holding very strong on this outside.
Yeah, definitely a strong commit by Larry. See if he can get the pass, because you need to do it quick, or else you're just going to fall back. I think these guys have already lost a second to the guys in front of them.
Yeah, that last time by, it was over 30 seconds lap for Larry and for Zach, whereas the leaders were in the 29.7. So yeah, about over half a second slower, but Larry now does complete the pass. So he's just got to be careful now, though, to avoid that crossover. It looks like now he's been able to hold him off. And then also just notice there that number 5 of Brandon Wengard, he does hit pit road here, Chris, and this is coming to lap 40, now 41. So this would be that splitting it into thirds for this number 5 car. So maybe opting to try to see if those fresher tires will make a difference, because I'd say we saw the right front damage, probably just wasn't doing what he wanted it to do. So he's going to go ahead and try to get that taken care of here, and then try to see if we can put those fresh tires to use. As right now, again, looks like about 1.5 seconds is the distance. It's also brought now the 11 of Nick Crawford. He's going to do the same here in that 11. So he's going to hit pit road here also at that 1/3 of the distance mark.
Yeah, definitely no risk, no reward. These guys in the back are, trying something different. The leaders might actually be caught off guard by by the early stops here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how it shakes out. I'll say we'll have to watch lap times, of course, as well. I'll say right now the 5 car has just rolled out of pit road here. So he's going to try to get some speed belt up. He looks like he did stay in pit road for a little longer to try to get some damage repairs done to that 5 car. As you can see, that right front fender definitely looking a lot better than it was earlier. And then Nick Crawford, I think, just about completing his service. This will be a pretty normal 14-second stop here. But these guys, I do not believe, can make it to the end here in field. This is, again, I think this is them trying to split it up into thirds. Whereas these guys up front, though, are going to just try to split it into halves. But I do feel like the gap between the front 2 is starting just to shrink a little bit. Nothing drastic. But I think that Sebastian and Brian are starting to creep in just that little bit here to Levi. Looking at the lap times, it looks like I am proven wrong, because Sebastian was actually a 10th slower, whereas Brian was actually a 10th quicker than Levi and 2/10 quicker than Sebastian. And Larry Yingling pretty much right on pace with Levi Cox in that number 67.
Yeah, speaking of pitting, I think these two in the back, with Sebastian and Brian, I think they're kind of going to wait and see what Levi does and make sure that he can kind of go in. They might just follow suit with him, but if they want to try something different, they might go out for one more lap, try to get one fast burner in right before they come in, see if they can close the gap on the exit.
Yeah, that's exactly those in-lap out-laps. And I know, at least on the super speedway side of things, I'd say Sebastian definitely prides himself on really good pit entry into the speed, onto the entry, and then also into his pit box as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on him for that as well. I think that, like I said, that could make a big difference. And already those first laps out of the pits for the 11 and the 5, they're already down into the 28-second bracket. So for Nick Crawford, he was over 2 seconds quicker than Levi Cox, our leader. But again, though, I mean, you got to do the math on the pit stop times, and kind of feel like it's definitely going to be a short-term gain. But I feel like the extra time on pit road, getting service done and all that, I think it's probably not going to be a net gain overall. But I think it's definitely, I mean, if you can't drive the car with the tires burned off like they were, probably still worth doing, because these guys still have to try to limp these things another about 15 more laps before they can finally get this first set of tires off.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sitting in the in-car view right now of Brian. I'm just kind of watching how the front two are riding. And you can kind of see a little bit of a skewed angle how these guys are running all the way up against the wall, and they're kind of really just leaning on their right rear, and the car's kind of not necessarily drifting, but you can definitely see a skew to it.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. You can see right there entering turn 3, that 23 of Sebastian Marin. Definitely, it almost looks like it just has that constant state of wanting to step the right rear out, pretty much like you're saying. So you're right. It's like definitely a pretty solid skew to those cars right now. But again, their lap times, I mean, they're running still in the 29s. Saying now it's actually dropped to Larry Yingling on back. Pretty much all of those guys are in the 30-second bracket. So say again, that second and a half margin starting to just grow a little more here lap after lap. But it does look like the fall off has kind of stabilized right around that 1.5, 1.6 seconds or so. Seems like that's about where the lap times have kind of just settled in with these guys at this lap 49 mark now in this race.
Yeah, these guys, their lap times are very, very close, and all it takes is for Levi to slip up one time on the exit of a corner, and they're right back into this, and everyone's going to be part of a blanket again, these top three.
Yes, and this is also where I'm sure a lot of drivers are like, man, I'd love to be a yellow, but I do not want to be it, though. And that's more often than that's usually how it winds up happening. But, man, yeah, Levi is just running I mean, even with the lead he has, he is definitely not taking any chances. He is still just, or I should say he is taking chances, I should say, just running right up to the wall there on the exit of 4. Just basically almost looks like qualifying laps each lap around here. But, yeah, I mean, again, last time by, Chris, a 92 for Levi, 99 for Sebastian, 95 for Brian. I mean, you've got our three leaders here within, 7/100ths of a second of one another. I mean, that's after 50 laps in this thing so far. So, I mean, the abilities these guys have are just, it's pretty impressive. Duty mentioned, though, you talked about a little bobble. That was one right there for Levi, a 30-30. Sebastian Marin, he gains 4/10 on that one lap alone.
Yeah, just the gain advantage. You just definitely have to stay consistent at this track. There's tracks where you can run, have a mess up or two, and you're right back in it if you can just, rifle off a couple other, good laps. But this is one of those tracks where if you mess up, everyone's all over you, and you literally just might slip up, and you might just become third after 2 bobbles here. Yeah,
exactly right. Especially with the talent level that these guys have over here. So. So this also brings us to the next point, Chris, because we're within 70 to go now. The fuel mileage, just said, is 70 to 75 laps. So the question would be is, if you're looking on the outside in, like I'd say, I kind of go over to a Larry Yingling right now, who's about 3 seconds off of Brian here, as he just gets passed by those fresh tires of Nick Crawford. Does Larry consider short pitting here, use those fresh tires to his advantage for those couple of laps, but then knowing that he can still make it to the end? So instead of him going to lap 60, let's say maybe he pits 5 laps earlier, uses that second or so fresh tire advantage, maybe jumps himself right up into that lead pack here, and then once those tires start to kind of level out, as say, puts him pretty much in a level playing field, as we've seen, pretty difficult to pass here. Might be a gamble opportunity for that 67 if he wants to try to gain some track position on these top 3.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth the risk for Larry to do that. He's just kind of on that point where if he does get new tires, as you saw how the new car, the 11 car is already 2 seconds in front of him. It's definitely worth having new tires at this point. And if we watch this battle for another 2 laps, you'll already see that Nick is already getting ready to pass the position 3 and position 2.
Yeah, exactly right, because he's still in the 28-second bracket right there. Even passing Larry was a 28.99. This time a little slower, 29.08, but again, almost a second faster than Levi. But that being said, again, I mean, I got to give a shout out to Levi Cox in that 99 because he still somehow is in the 29-second bracket after 55 laps here. And here it is. Let's say, I don't know if that was Larry listening to me or maybe we were on the same wavelengths here, but there's Larry. He's going to pit here at 55 here. So we'll see, Chris, how this does. Does this also maybe force a response from our leaders? Or do they say, no, we want to split this thing evenly? So I'll be closely watching these top 3 here to see what the response is.
I think we're going to see in the next 2 laps. I think we're going to see these guys come in. The one was between between Sebastian and Brian. I think these guys are going to come in within 2 laps, and even Levi's going to have to respond to that.
Yeah, so I think that was a good opportunity for Brian if he wanted to try to undercut that 23, because Brian had to let the 11 go there, and now he's working over that 23 car. And so I'd say that would have been a good opportunity to jump in, while then now Sebastian is going to have a little slower lap, of course, having to let the 11 on by here. But so far, though, here he comes.
Going in.
Yep, Sebastian's going to react. He's going to jump in. Say again, late entry there. He makes the good breaks there. Looks like to get down to that pit road speed at the cone. So, like you said, it was about 2 laps of a response from that 23. Now I'll have to wait and see what the 99 and the 28 do. And so, like you said, on those heater laps, this is where Brian, he's just got to pretty much just go full send here and just give it everything he can for this next lap or so until he tries to react.
Yeah, Levi definitely can't go in with the 11 getting ready to come off his left quarter right there. So he's going to have to stay out one more lap.
Yeah, this will be interesting to say. The first thing is going to see where does Sebastian and Larry come out in relation to one another. Say Sebastian getting service done to his car right now, as Larry has, I believe, is in turn number 1, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see once they start to roll to see how this all cycles around. Because I'll say here's Sebastian rolling out of pit road, and there goes Larry. Actually, already takes that position. So that's only a 2-lap difference there. Chris, and again, I mean, that's now put Larry up by over a second.
In the pits.
All right, so that's our leader. So this will be close, I think, just based on the lap difference time, because again, Larry jumped Sebastian by 1.5 seconds, and they were about 2 seconds behind Levi at the time of that pit stop. So this is going to be very tight up front here, and I think Brian Johnson, he's just going, I think, to probably get a lap led, but then also I think B is going to try to see if he can maybe do the same thing and try to maybe use those fresher tires here towards the end of this run.
Yeah, Brian stays out, and looking at Levi, watching his pit entry again, he almost missed it and went straight into the wall.
Yeah, and that's him just going for everything he can. James Heater's also on pit road as we speak. Say Levi getting service done to his number 99 car, rolling out of pit road now. And the question of where Larry and Sebastian are, they're gone already. They have now got a couple seconds on Levi, as last time by, Sebastian puts the fastest lap of the race there, 28.08, 2 seconds faster than that 28 of Brian Johnson.
As we see Larry, I think that's Larry, right?
Yeah, that's Larry trying to unlap himself.
Going right by Brian. I think it's time for Brian to come in. Not sure if he wants to stay out too much longer.
Yeah, so the only thing that Brian can do now is if he just stays out as long as possible, maybe hopes for a yellow. But even then, I mean, at this point, Larry's unlapped himself. So, I mean, he's good to go here. He'll be able to wave around to the lead lap as if a caution fell. And right now, though, I think what Brian is doing is he's going to try that overcut, not to gain positions, but to just have the fresh tires later on in the race. So now it's going to be all about strategy, as he sees Sebastian going to waste no time with those fresh tires here. But now I think now the pressure kind of falls back to that 99 of Levi Cox, because he's got to gain 2 spots on these guys in front of him, and about 5-6 seconds on Larry Yingling to get to the point.
The strategies are definitely going to be interesting watching this play out right now, watching Brian stay out. It's not only him and Cedric, I think, are the only 2 cars that haven't pit yet.
Yep, exactly right. So, yeah, Brian Johnson, again, he was running 3rd prior to the pit stop cycle. And then the 20 of Cedric Johnson, he's also staying out as well. But I want to say this might be an unscheduled pit stop for Zach Hall on the 24, because he's back in. I was pretty sure he had already pitted. And then also Devon Brock on pit road as well. Not sure if these are scheduled stops or not for these 2, but I felt like they had already hit pit road. But yeah, so right now, though, you can see Brian Johnson, here comes that 99. He's going to try to unlap himself as well to get himself back onto that lead lap. So, and then, of course, then from here on, it's going to be just watching lap times. I think that's going to be the crucial one. And then, of course, we got to go back to those that did the 2-stop strategy, Chris. Nick Crawford, he's currently running in 3rd position, but crucially, he's got 1 more pit stop to go, and he's only got a second margin on Larry Yingling. And, of course, that gap closing as that number 67's got, again, about 14 lap fresher tires.
Yeah, I think he pitted back on lap 41, so he's one of our earliest pitters. And I think I just heard the car hit the wall, possibly. But Nick is definitely going to be looking for a caution here, kind of just to offset everything and make sure that he can get his tires fresh again. I think this might be a good call if he can get a yellow.
Yeah, I think it may have been the 24 of Zach Hall, because I'm noticing now that looks like he may have retired from the event, unfortunately, in that 24. Also, I think the 26 27 of Devon Hall maybe had an issue too, because he's actually I'm sorry, he's just leaving pit road now. But a long stop for him, so probably some damage repairs done to that 27 as well. So, but yeah, right now though, I think Brian Johnson, he's just gonna run this thing dry and at that point just see how it shakes out. Because right now, I mean, that's really all he can do. I think he's kind of made the bed, and at this point, I think you just got to stick with it the rest of the way.
Yeah, Brian definitely has some room behind him just in case he does want to take a late entry into the pit and try to get as much speed as possible. But he definitely has to watch out for any of the faster guys coming around him when he's getting ready to take his stops. I know his fuel's getting ready to run low in about 10 laps or so.
Yeah, saying Larry, I'll say the fuel run window sound like 70 to 75, so we're on 68 now. So I'd say we're getting right into that window. But yeah, I'll say I'm looking at lap time wise. He's running in the 30s right now, 30:09. But he's in a very nice little clean pocket of track. He's got really nobody within any distance behind him, as you can see in the camera there view. There with the 18 is about a full straightaway back. And then in front of him, I'll say he's got the 99 ahead of Levi Cox, who's just going to kind of keep building that gap. So he's in a safe little pocket here. But again, just, I mean, the lap times are the problem right now, is he's still running in the low 30s. But again, Larry Yingling are running pretty much a second a lap faster, as Larry was at 29:03. As he's starting to try to kind of keep that 23 of Sebastian Marin at bay.
Yeah, the difficulty's kind of ramped up here. It's a different game right now where you really just have to run your clean laps. You're not really racing anybody. You're just trying to run your fastest laps every single lap that you have until you catch up to the next car. And then after that, you got to change strategies and figure out a way around somebody.
Yeah, as you can see, and there's the 99 there, Levi Cox getting around the 11 of Nick Crawford. So again, say Levi went to pit at lap 59 compared to 57 for Sebastian, 55 for Larry. And I'd say right now he's still about 2.5 seconds off of Larry. And looking at the lap times, he is quicker. He's about 0.3 of a second quicker than Larry that last time by. And something that could fall into his favor here, though, is the fact that the 23 and 67, they are now nose to tail. Sebastian's going to try to start making some moves on Larry, because again, this potentially could be the move to win the race here between these two. So as you see, Sebastian deep in the brakes. Oh, a little bit of contact entering turn number 3. Larry hangs on to it, but that was definitely close, and that's going to slow both of them down just a little bit. And that's exactly what that 99 of Levi Cox is going to want to continue to see happen here.
Yeah, I don't think there was any ill intent in that hit. Just let him know that he was there. He might have got in there just a little too hot, but I don't think there was any ill intent.
No, that was just, yeah, I mean, again, they're running these things as hard as they can, like you said right now, Chris. I think they feel like, okay, track position's where it's going to matter right now. They got to try to put themselves in that prime spot. And again, I mean, it may not be much, but Sebastian's got slightly fresher tires than Larry. And of course, we don't know how much they've pushed on those tires those opening couple of laps as well. So, yeah, I think Sebastian's just going for everything he could, try to get a good dive on entry there, and just, yeah, a little deeper than Larry was, and just is that little bit of contact. But say no harm, no foul. They both stay going in the right direction. I'm sure that definitely caught Larry's attention, though, and say he's going to be definitely watching his mirrors a little more as these laps continue to wind down.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for Sebastian, where he had the newer tires, but now he had to back up because of that hit, and he has to work he has to work a little bit harder just to get right back to Larry.
Yeah, again, watching lap times, a 29:30 for Larry to a 29:12 for Sebastian to a 29:06 for Levi. So it all kind of goes back to their laps they pitted there. Each driver that pitted later is just that little bit faster. Ooh, Larry misses turn 3 there. This could be an opportunity for Sebastian. He's going to try to get the power down, keep the nose underneath.
Yeah, not happening. Coming into pit finally.
Leader on pit road here, so that's going to be a 28. And this is at lap 74, so like it says, like the pit window said, 70 to 75 laps. He's coming in at 74. So, I mean, there's going to be no question here. He's going to need 4 tires and fuel. The question is going to be how far back does he drop here, because right now he's already been passed for position by these guys. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one for the 28 here, and he's going to have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but he's going to have the fresher tires if he's going to do it right. I think this is probably going to be the right call for him, where he's just going to have the fresher tires. I mean, Cedric pitted, I think, on what, lap 41, right?
No, Cedric's in now, actually. This is his scheduled pit stop as well. And up front, though, we've got a party once again here. So you've got Larry still leading Sebastian, but Levi Cox, he is starting to creep in. He's been putting down some pretty big laps here. So he's closed it to now within just over a second between our top 3 here. And we'll wait to see what the cycle is between them and Brian Johnson, who currently is coming out in the 8th position. But again, that's going to change quickly. But here goes Sebastian. He's looking low here out of turn number 2. We'll see who wins the drag race. I'll say the driver that's got the best view of this, which probably not what he wants, though, is going to be that 27 of Devon Brock. I think Devon's even got fresher tires than the 2 of them. But I say it's always that between a rock and a hard place when you're not on the lead lap and you want to get your lap back, but you don't want to affect the outcome of the race here. So, but I say he's definitely got a really good view of this battle going on in front of him.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what type of move Sebastian might make. I'm not sure if he's going to try to use a dog leg to get the advantage with the cars just kind of being super horsepower. I mean, these are old school COTs, so I'm not sure how much he's going to really try to make a move here.
Yeah, and that's going to be the trick is what can the 23 do? What's the right approach here? Because, again, we saw how well he protected on the outside line, and now Larry's kind of doing the exact same thing. So, yeah, Sebastian's going to have to kind of beat Larry at his own game, if you will, because that's how Sebastian was able to keep Brian Johnson behind for so long. As I say, the first lap out of the pits for the 28 car already a 28.18. So say he's already a second and a half quicker than our leaders, but again, still sitting about 18 seconds off the pace here. But again, I mean, we got 42 to go, so it's going to be, if we do stay green here, this will be very fun to see what's going to be the kind of what the net gain is going to be for that number 28 cars. Now he moves back up into 6th already here. Again, he exited in 8th, already gaining 2 spots here in these first couple of laps.
Yeah, Brian might be able to get right back to them right at the end of the race. We'll definitely find out at the end. Looking at Sebastian here, he's definitely trying different lines from what Larry has, and I'm not sure if Larry's just trying to defend or he's just getting off the corner a little bit better, but you can see Sebastian going all the way up top, and Larry's kind of hitting that middle, and now he's going to go down low.
Yeah, it seems like that's, once the tires wear, that seems like that's where these guys have found that this is where the cars need to run. So right now, same, but again, here they are. They've all three. They found each other. They're within just a couple of tenths of one another. As Duty mentioned, Brandon Wengert, he hit his second pit stop there in the 5, and Nick Crawford doing the same as well. So that moves Brian Johnson now back into the top 5, and is only about 2.5 seconds away from James Heater to get back into 4th. And again, we talked about that gap being, I think it was 18 seconds a few laps ago. It's already down to 15 seconds between that 28 and our leaders. And if they keep fighting like they are here, that's only going to keep that. I think it's going to just help that gap shrink even quicker.
Very, very interesting times here where, the guys behind the leader have fresher tires, but the leader definitely has a better defending style right now. Just can't get by Larry right now.
Yeah, that's really what it is right now, is Larry's running the exact line that Sebastian wants to run. And now Sebastian, he can't get too aggressive on his moves on Larry, because if he does, he opens himself up to attack. As I say that, here comes that attack from that 99. He's going to try to peak low in 3. But Sebastian's going to hold the outside line and keep the momentum built up. So right now, that short pit looking like it's working to perfection for Larry, but he's got to be picture perfect here for, again, 38 more laps here, Chris. This is going to feel like an eternity for Larry here.
Just ride on that bumper, Sebastian is, and Levi's no much closer than that. I mean, if you look at these guys, you just throw a blanket underneath them.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a little bit of a bobble. Oh man, they're going at it tooth and nail. And again, this is just going to slow down their lap times even more. To say this is a good exit off of out of 4 though for Sebastian. He might have an opportunity here in 3. In 1, but he's going to hold off. He's going to still run the top as the 99 tries to peak low now.
Oh, man.
It's all kicking off here. And again, this is slowing down their pace, and that's allowing Brian Johnson. He's up to 4th now. He's 12 seconds back. And again, that interval is just going to kind of, I think, shrink probably a second a lap here. And again, he's still got 37 to go. So if he can keep some tire underneath that car. Oh, there's the move right there.
Larry big wiggle loose from Larry.
Yeah, Larry got loose out of turn number 4. Had to give it up there. Sebastian had able to stay on the top side. So unfortunately, Larry drops to 3rd, and now the battle's going to be between the 23 and the 99. And once again, just a 2-lap difference between tires on that. But I mean, that was Larry fighting tooth and nail there for a solid 15+ laps there to try to hang on to that lead. But now it's back to our top 2 when the pit stop cycle started.
You can see Levi smells blood. He's mirroring right now. He's mirroring what Sebastian's doing. Those cars are absolutely the same line.
Yeah, they get. Every time I watch Levi, I'm like, oh, he's gonna hit the wall, but he's able to get it to just rotate in time. A little loose there off of turn number 2. But yeah, Levi actually drops back just a little bit there, but sends it. He is quick on the brakes there, entering turn number 3. But I think Sebastian looks like he's getting in easier, but getting out better. And now here comes that 20 car again. Fresher tires for that number 20 of Cedric Hunter. I say Cedric's goal here is he wants to get himself back on the lead lap just in case. So you always want to try to get the lap back the hard way. So here's the difference of tires here. Lap 75 for Cedric compared to lap 57 for Sebastian. And that's how much of a difference those fresh tires are making.
Oh, I think that last turn right there is just gonna choke him up just a little bit. It might have Levi give it another chance at him here.
Yeah, looks like Sebastian able to hold on for now, but yeah, so now he's gonna have a little bit of dirty air in front of him. I don't know if that'll make too much of a difference because I do think that 20 car is just gonna kind of set sail and run away here pretty quick. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I say both of these cars now, you can see them every time they get on throttle. You can see they're just kind of bobbling around down the straightaways. I think these tires are already shot for the top 2. I think they were racing so hard to get to each other. And we got to do a Brian Johnson update here, Chris. It is under 9 seconds now, 8.7. As he continues to run, it looks like about 3/4 of a second faster than our top 2.
He just needs to keep that pace, and it's going to be... We got a little bit under 50 laps to go. This is going to be a wild one here.
Yeah, say this time by it's going to be, it looks like 31 to go at the line. And pretty much as they enter turn number 4, he is coming out of turn number 2. So I'll say they still got about a full straightaway advantage over him. But again, I'll say with this being a 1-mile track, it's kind of deceiving. It's like, oh, I got straightaway on him, but those gaps close very quickly. So right now this continues. Oh, there's the contact there. The 99 just kisses the wall there in turns 1 and 2. Say I don't think it's enough to really hurt that car, but say it's going to take him another lap or so to kind of gather things back up. But right now, say this is definitely the fight for the win here as they stand. But I think it's going to be. I think Brian Johnson's going to have a say in this one before it's all said and done, especially if we still stay under green.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help his case if we can get Levi and Sebastian to fight a little bit more. And as Levi gets back into the wall again, I think that's going to hurt him just a little bit more. I'm not sure if that hurt his right rear.
Yeah, so it looks to be not in too bad of a shape or anything like that. So you can still see just a little bit of a right front maybe there. I think what it does do, though, I think it's a big opportunity for Sebastian now, is he can kind of just relax a little bit, maybe try to cool those tires down for at least a lap or so, and then kind of get back after it. Because, I mean, when you're playing defense, you're running as hard as you can, pretty much lap after lap. And so now you can see he's even changed his line a little bit, running more middle now to the bottom, whereas we saw Levi the whole time. But when he was there, he was running up, pretty much up against that wall like we saw the 99 doing. So I think that little bobble by the 99 is kind of just giving Sebastian a little bit of a breathing room here, just to catch his breath maybe for maybe a lap or two, because as just that last lap in itself there, it looks like Levi's closed that gap once again. Yeah, 0.3 quicker for the 99 to the 23. So, and there it is. It's like Sebastian saw that, recognized it, straight back to the wall.
Yeah, no, being the leader, you're just kind of sitting there like, man, I hope he falls off. I hope he falls off. And eventually he does, and then he comes right back at you, and you're just like, man, I cannot get a break right now.
Yeah, but that gap between the leaders and Brian Johnson, it's under 6 seconds now. Again, continuing to shrink. It's closing into about 5.5 here as he ran a 29.50, whereas the leaders are in the 29.80. So it's dropped to about now 0.3 laps. So the pace is slowing for the 28 car. So we did mention earlier, Chris, as well, kind of that point where like it seems like it settles in at about that 1.5 seconds or so off their fast lap, and they've definitely gotten to about that point. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can still muster enough lap time in these closing 27, 26 laps now to go. Can he get there? Does he have the time to do it? As this time by he's over half a second quicker, 29.31 to a 29.80. So, I mean, he is still... big bobbler.
Sebastian into the wall.
Yeah, you see definitely some significant right side damage to that 23 from that contact. So we'll see, does that affect him at all? So, of course, also going to have to get his rhythm back there. And saying again, I mean, that's going to help that 28 just ever more. So we're down to it though, 25 to go. Say the gap between Larry Yingling and the 28 Brian Johnson is down to about 2 seconds between them. So first job one for the 28s to get around the 67 quickly and efficiently to then have a chance to set his sights on these top two here.
Folks, if you've never watched a race out here in Phoenix, or you've never been to the Championship 4, it's very exciting. You get a lot of battles just like this all over the track, from first all the way up to 40th. And just watching what these two up front are doing, you see that every single time.
And that's a really good point, is when you're there in person watching the races, you focus on what you want. You're not kind of at the discretion of the person in control, as in tonight being me, as the 99 big loose tire on the throttle here. Say these tires they're kind of right at the edge of their life. It looks like I think they've been running these guys a little bit maybe harder than they wanted to or meant to. But yeah, you have a lot of options that you can kind of focus on, maybe your favorite driver, or you see like, okay, here's a cluster of cars, I'm gonna kind of stay focused on that. And it's a really neat opportunity, especially at Phoenix, like you said, because there's a lot of great viewing areas. I remember growing up, got to sit on the hill for years and years when, Darrell Waltrip was still racing. I can't remember if it was Western Auto or Tide at the time, but got to watch him from the hill, and then over time started to do the grandstand seats and all that. So yeah, it's a really cool place. A lot of different opportunities for places to watch the race. And like I said, a lot of the remodels, reconfiguration, all in the mindset of trying to improve the fan experience, if you will.
Yeah, as long as you drink water, you'll have a great time out here. Very, very fun place here at Phoenix. Highly recommend to any of the viewers to buy a ticket, come to the championship race out here in November. And
you can have a meet and greet with Chris Matthews himself as well.
Oh, I'll definitely be there.
So we'll say right now we got a big bobble for Sebastian Marin. This is going to be Levi's best opportunity. It's over the last couple of laps here. He is right on that rear bumper. Almost puts a bumper to him there in that 23 car. So this is a great battle here for the lead. I was about to say it's down to under half a second between Larry and Brian, but we got to stay up front here because this is the battle for the lead. As again, almost touches on the entry of 3. And you see the 23 gets a pretty wide exit there out of 4, but again hangs on to it. So these guys are going after it here. We got 20 to go here, Chris. It's about 2 seconds there. It's about 2.5 tenths of a second here between Larry and Brian. And Brian, he can see him. He can see them battling. And so he knows he's got to find a way to get around Larry here to have a chance at this one. So he's got to make quick work out of this 67 car.
Yeah, if Brian can make the move and get by Larry, I think it's going to be a wrap for the two up front, because they are battling hard and they're battling heavy.
So you can see he's going to try to do the over-under, gets a high exit.
Onto the dog leg.
Yeah, he's going to try to shortcut the dog. Let's see if he can send it into 1. Not enough. Still, Larry's going to hang on to. That's the last thing he was hoping for. Like I said, he wants to make quick work so he can then kind of stretch his legs back after the top 2, because Sebastian, he's capitalized on a little mistake from Levi. Now it's up to about 8 tenths between our top 2. So right now this is the closest battle on track. And like you said, Chris, I think the sooner and if the 28 can get around the 67, I think then he stands a very valid chance to try to catch those top 2.
Yeah, desperation is getting ready to set in here as we're coming to the closing stages, and I think Brian is going to try to just make more moves. And hopefully he doesn't make a mistake here.
That was a great exit out of turn 2. He gets underneath about halfway down the quarter panel of that 67 into turn number 3. Now it's going to be all about who can get the power down best, as we'll see. So far, it looks pretty
Still at the
equal.
quarter panel, he's probably going to try to dive down to dog leg. He does.
Yeah, you got to cut that as short as you can here. But again, though, I think the tire wear and the horsepower, it's actually cutting it only does so much here. And again, he's going to cut low here in turn number 1 and 2. And it's just drifting it out of turn 2. Still stuck behind Larry, though, as we're down to 17 to go, 16 at the line.
Yeah, it looks like Larry's able to defend that dogleg attack. So him defending up high is just going to slow up Brian, and Brian's just going to kill that right rear that he has right there going to the dogleg. But right now, they both took above the dogleg, so he might have a better entry right here.
Yes, this is a good opportunity. I like the move here to try to go kind of get him into turn 1 instead of turn 3. But man, I say he just cannot get that power down, and that's where Larry's been able to make no mistakes so far. Is just being able to keep that power down. He's drifting it there into turn number 3 there. And so, yeah, we've got two really good battles. That gap up front's down to now about half a second between Levi and Sebastian. I'll say this one's still just over a tenth of a second.
Great action all around as Levi gets into the wall again.
I'll say, but whatever he did, though, it seemed like it actually helped because he's down to about 4/10 of a second now. Again, that car is just, he's in the wall in the entry. That thing, I mean, I think he is just, those tires are gone, and he's just hanging on for dear life. But I say, racing with Levi, he's never going to give an inch here. So he's going to, basically, that car's going to have to be undrivable for him to give up on this chance to win this race. So this is going to be fun to see what these top two can do because they are, like I said, they're going after it tooth and nail. He again bounces off the wall, almost bounces too far off the wall, but able to hang on to it, keep it pointed straight. But yeah, that 99, I think those tires are completely toast.
Oh, I think Brian got into the wall too. He wiggled off the back to the backstretch.
Yeah, I see that. He's lost a couple of tenths on Larry as well. So I'll say it's starting to make those little mistakes. I'll say again, I mean, they've gone caution free here, Chris, for over 100 laps here. We're getting down to 10 to go. We're at 13 to go here, 12 to go at the line. But yeah, right now, Larry Yingling, Brian Johnson, and still the closest battle on track, just a quarter of a second between them, about 3/4 between Levi and Sebastian. Say James Heater, he's kind of holding nice and comfortable in that 5th position. But right now, we're going to keep an eye on this battle for that 3rd spot. Because again, I mean, A, it's a podium, and B, it would give that 28 a chance to catch those top two. But I think at this point, even if he gets around Larry, I think it's taken too long. I don't know if he's going to have a realistic shot to catch Sebastian or Levi here. So, but you never know. And that's why we're here. That's why we watch. We'll see if Brian has anything left for these guys here as we're going to be down to 11 to go.
Yeah, it might just be a little bit too late here for Brian, but you never know. I honestly think these guys have run a really great race. A lot lately, they've just been hitting the wall coming out of 1 and 2. And I guess they had the Darlington stripe. We'll call this the Phoenix Flare.
There you go. I love it. But the thing, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I said, I bet you I'm sure there's driver fatigue in this. Again, just kind of having to wheel these cars for 110 laps now, and then of course having the tires that are just completely shot. There's just only so much you can do. And it's like, speaking of that, I mean, again, we talked about the drivers that did the 2-stop strategy. Looking at the 20, I think he went long, if I remember right, as well as the 28. He still sits in 7th. The number 5 of Brandon Wengard, he's in 8th with the 2-stop strategy there in the number 5. So again, it hasn't really worked out from the way he wanted to, but he has gotten ahead of a couple guys that either now have retired, unfortunately, like the 11 and the 24. But I think there was something to be said about that potential strategy if we saw some of the guys up front. And say for Brandon, again, this is his first race with the league with these cars. I'll say, again, a very, very steep learning curve. But we talked about the 99 never giving up here, Chris, and he's dropped it down to, again, about 0.3 of a second. He kind of regrouped, and he's getting back after it here as we're getting down to, we're 9 to go here, 8 to go at the line.
Yeah, and then doubling and mirroring that, you got Brian attacking Larry again. So these guys just don't give up. It's a great race to watch right now.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think now it's just all about basically minimizing, but more so just honestly eliminating mistakes. As again, the 99 just giving it every inch of track that he can. So he just kind of slaps the wall just a little bit on entry, but honestly it doesn't hurt him too much. Oh, that's going to be a big slide there out of turn number 2, and that's going to cost him about 3-4 tenths, it looks like. And I say now that's going to bring him into kind of just reaching distance for Larry and Brian here. And they're going to have seen that, and they know that 99 car, that right rear, is going to be a little angry, and they're going to want to capitalize on that as well.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the mental game. I know when I'm running my sim, if we go more than 2 green flag stops, my brain absolutely is just tired. My body's tired. I start making mistakes like that. So these guys might not usually are accustomed to running a full green, green to checkered finish. So these guys might just be making mental mistakes just off that fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mental mistakes and just honestly just fatigue. Yeah, it's just like, man, I mean, like me, and again with these cars too, these aren't point and shoot cars. I mean, there's a lot of work here that's being done behind the wheel, but also being done with the feet on the pedals. You got to really modulate the throttle to try to get that perfect throttle exit off, and so I think that's also coming into play because you can see these guys are just I think, just holding on for dear life, it kind of feels like. But I say for Sebastian Marin, what he wants is he wants to have 4 more clean laps and then 1 mistake-free lap at the end of this one to try to see if he can kind of break that streak of pole sitters not winning the race. That's what he wants to see. He qualified first, led the first lap, and then from then Levi took over. But then the pit stop strategies, that's what really shook up the running order in this one. Sebastian pitting at 57, Levi 59, Larry at 55, and it's really made a big difference in how this race is looking so far.
Yeah, now you can see almost these guys are in one shot, one good camera shot. You can see all 4 cars. These guys are definitely running probably their best times right now, just trying to drive it in there as they're running as hard as possible just to catch up to each other.
And you see Brian, he's completely changed his line. He went all the way to the white line there through 1 and 2. I think just having to try to do something different. You're right, though. I mean, again, 115 laps here, Chris, and pitting at 57, 59, 55, and 74. But yeah, when it comes down to crunch time here, you've got our top 4 within 2 seconds of each other. So again, just shows just how equal and evenly matched these guys are, even with the different strategies, with the different drivers and everything like that. It's just, yeah, the talent of these guys is it's just top notch, honestly. And as I've again been able to race a lot with Sebastian, haven't raced with Levi for a while or Larry, but I know what those guys can do behind the wheel, and it's obvious that Brian Johnson's right on par with those guys as well. So, but we're getting down to here, Chris, 2 to go. So, like I said, Sebastian, he's just basically praying. He's like, all right, everybody around me here, just be good. Let me get to that white flag lap. I do not want a late race caution. And then from there, I'm just going to try to put it in my own hands and make no mistakes in this final lap.
Yeah, the only thing Sebastian wants to see right now is that white flag waving.
Now, so you can see it out the corner of his eye. He sees the white, just waiting to make sure he gets it. And he does. White flag is out for Sebastian Marin. This one's going to go flag to flag. And he's got... Oh, actually, I think Levi had a big mistake out of turn number 4.
Oh,
he did.
No.
Larry jumps to second place. We'll see. Now, can he hold on to third here? Because Brian Johnson's going to be seeing that mistake, and he's going to try to charge. But up front, though, say Sebastian Marin, it looks like he's going to be pretty much home free here as he comes through turn number 3. Just needs to... So you can see him kind of drifting it out of 4. I think doing a little bit of celebratory slide as he's going to get the win. And then behind them, it was... Oh, man, these guys are pretty much just wrecking across the line there. Levi Cox will hold on the third over Brian Johnson. And then James Heater is going to bring it home in that number 5 position, just ahead of Chuck Sweeting. And then Cedric Hunter in that 20 car comes home in 7th, our last car on the lead lap. And then you got Brandon Wengard and Devon Brock in 8th and 9th, respectively. But yeah, these guys, I think this, so you can see all these guys are just sliding the cars, drifting the cars, and just having a ball right now, because I think they are all, I think, just completely spent here. And I think, again, these tires are just completely shot too. So it's like, hey, let's use these for drifting here.
I'm hoping Sebastian does a Polish victory lap in honor of Alan Kowicki.
I think he's going to be trying to do a burnout victory lap here.
He might not have any tires left.
He's still smoking him down the backstretch here and somehow keeping that thing straight. And I think that just, again, shows the car control he's had to have all race long. He's able to do it here as well as he comes through 3 and 4 as well. So that's pretty much, I think, a full lap there, just about just burning those tires down as he's going to slide it across the start-finish line once more for good measure. But before we get to our top 3 interviews, let's go ahead and pull up our final results for tonight, as it's going to be Sebastian Marin getting the win, breaking that streak. Our pole winner gets the win tonight by 1.5 seconds over Larry Yingling. Levi Cox, unfortunately, on bobble out of turn number 2, cost him that number 2 spot. He falls to 3rd. And then Brian Johnson and James Heater are top 5. Then Chuck Sweeting, Cedric Hunter, the remainder on the lead lap. And unfortunately, let's say a few laps down for Brandon Wengard there. Devon Brock stuck it out, though. A very, very tough race tonight. And then, unfortunately, early retirements for Nick Crawford, Zach Holland, and I think Tyler Dengler. Unfortunately, some VR issues tonight. Wasn't able to grid this evening. But you're getting your Polish victory lap here, Chris, as that number 23 going around the track.
Absolutely love seeing that. I think they show that on the TV boards all the time whenever you come to Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. It's a nice way to for obviously in NASCAR to kind of be able to see the crowd and everything like that. But Yeah, and I think also just it's a nice little break. Let that 23 cool down a little bit because, man, he had to work for that one tonight. So we're gonna grab some drivers. We got to chat with some fellas here tonight. We're gonna kick it off with our third place finisher in that number 99 of Levi Cox. So let's go ahead and hunt him on down here, and we will have a chat. All right, so we're going to pull Levi on in over here. So Levi started in second, got the lead early and was looking good. And then, let's say, just kind of pit stop strategy looked like that's really just shook the outcome of this race and kind of the strategy overall. Did you have like a set plan like, hey, I'm going to pit like at lap 60, split it in half exactly, and then did you have to adjust when you saw like Larry and Sebastian kind of short pitch you a little bit? Or I mean, take us through the pit strategy before we get to the wild racing at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna pit around lap 60, make it a one stop, and then Larry let me know whenever he pit, and then I kind of adjusted mine to lap 58 and just kind of set with that. But I didn't think 1 or 2 laps. I don't know what Sebastian, how many laps he pitted before me there, but 1 or 2 made a big difference there.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys were battling real hard, getting into the wall a couple of times as you guys were entering the new 1 and 2. How hard was it just to figure out which lines to take on this track? I see a lot of guys were changing lines. I saw you early on. You just sat on the wall and pulled out to about a 1 to 2 second gap early on before the pit stop.
Yeah, early to mid run, and I guess it's 1 and 2. Definitely the high line seemed to be favorable, and if you took care of your tires, which I kind of did the first run, you kind of start lowering it down because you knew you weren't going to get that good exit anyways. So you kind of cut the corner there and get about the same exit. That's how I was viewing it anyways, and then just 3 and 4. That's pretty much low line. Try to get back on it as soon as you can.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it definitely looked like that right rear was definitely getting pretty used and abused that second run. I mean, the battles you had with Sebastian, with Larry, I mean, you guys were just tooth and nail going at it there for so many laps. I mean, it was pretty impressive to watch. Something that Chris and I were debating on, we're kind of joking if we get like a couple green flag runs and let's say we kind of lose focus because like, man, it's like I'm ready for caution or something just to kind of take a break there. I mean, what was the kind of the physical toll just kind of having to try to wheel these cars for 120 laps caution free tonight?
It doesn't take much force to turn a G29, but whenever you got a death grip on it for 120 laps, I was sweating starting a lap 1 or lap 40 or so, and at one point, probably lap 80 or so, I felt sweat dropping on my forehead, and I'm like, "Geez, this is too much right now." But it's my arms are sore already, so it's definitely a workout in these cars.
Yeah, Phoenix definitely could be a grueling track, and it doesn't give you any time to reach over and grab a beverage of choice. So, thank you for being up here with us. I know you had a really good race. Unfortunately, you had that bobble right at the last lap, but I definitely wanted to say I was proud of you, proud of what you ran, and a good shout out. Is there anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out to pretty much my whole family. We lost my mamaw today, so just thinking about her, and shout out to the Lord Jesus Christ for saving me, and that's kind of why I wanted to come out here tonight and race. I could have easily skipped it, but just come out here and get my mind off things and give a little glory to God. So
Yeah, definitely thinking of you and your family at the tough time. It's it's never easy, and say yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. So yeah, so definitely thinking of you and your family. And so it was. I mean, we're definitely our pleasure to have you over here. As hopefully a little bit of a good distraction before you kind of get back to reality over there. But yeah, definitely appreciate you being here, Levi. And yeah, definitely give your family and everybody our best and our thoughts and prayers and everything like that. And say so that way you guys can kind of start feeling a little better as you get through this tough time, man.
well, I definitely appreciate it, and appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast, and Larry for the league, and Sebastian on the win there, and just all the people that show up for this league. It's not been. I'd say Larry's probably a little disappointed with how many people's turned out, but the quality of people that's turned out, I'd rather get a win in these with 10, 12 people in here than some of these leagues that have 40 guys in there. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yes, I'm gonna be doing my recruiting abilities. I've learned from the best, so I'm gonna definitely try to hit some people up and maybe try to put a little bit of threats to get some good drivers out over here. Like I said, again, gotta be the good drivers though. Make sure they're not causing drama. But yeah, great job though tonight, Levi. It was so much fun watching you, and like I said, just running the 1 and 2. I mean, that was incredible watching you just kind of drift it all the way up to the wall, get it right there, and then cut it right back down. Really, really impressive car control tonight, man, and definitely a well-earned third place tonight.
Well, I appreciate it, and you guys have a great night.
You too, sir. All right, Chris, we got to jump over now to our runner-up tonight. That's going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling. And I'm going to say I think Larry has the move of the night tonight, making that pit call to come in early. I don't know if he was spying on us or if we were spying on him unintentionally. But we mentioned like maybe come in just a little bit early, try to do that undercut. It seemed like it was difficult to pass, and I mean you pretty much called it right around when we were thinking like maybe pit about 5 laps early, kind of catch maybe the guys that wanted to split up in half, kind of off guard. And you're able to do it. You're able to get the lead there, and I mean, you look like you're kind of trying to fight Sebastian and Levi there tooth and nail for the longest time, and just unfortunately gave out with I think it was about 30ish to go there. But I think that made a big difference in kind of where you ran tonight, though, is that slight short pick, because I mean, it was only 2 lap difference between you, Sebastian, but I mean, you gapped him by about 3 seconds or more in those 2 laps.
Yeah, I'm so glad that strategy worked out. Usually, as you know, I'm always like the last one to pit. But I just saw how quickly the tires fell off, but also how quickly it equaled out for the most part. And I didn't exactly think I would gain this much from that. I believe at the time I was maybe 4th. I think battling for 3rd would have been what that strategy might get me late in the race. But yeah, does everyone else, Brian and Levi and others, they stayed out a lot longer. So that let me get more of a big lead. Sebastian pitted, like you said, a few laps after me, so he was right behind me. And by the time Brian got to me, his tires were somewhat equaling out. He was a lot faster than me, but I was able to drive the top line, and it was just very hard to pass on the bottom, even if you have a lot fresher tires. And yeah, when I was trying to hold off Sebastian, Levi off, I didn't exactly think I'll be able to. I was just losing a lot of grip and really having to back up the turn 3 corner. And I knew it was just a matter of time until Sebastian got me. And when he did, I might have been able to go up top and not block him, just run my line. But I wanted to be safe and not both of each other end up in the garage. And then I got loose and he got by me. Then I saw Levi, I was right behind him, and I let Levi go. Then by the time Brian got to me, I was expecting to fall to 4th, and just trying to hold Brian off, I found something. Then my pace picked up, and I started to reel in Levi and Sebastian, and it just made me think what could have been if I could have found that earlier in the race.
Yeah, Larry, I think me and Gael both raced with you quite a bit of times, and knowing how you race and how fast you are, I think you were the farthest car back, and you also had the oldest tires during this whole race stint. How is it your balance between defending and attacking? Because we saw you hold Brian, who me and Gael thought was going to go by you and go on to win the victory, as he had the youngest tires at 74 laps while you pitted at lap 55. So how did you manage to hold him off with 20 plus lap tires?
Man, I hope I can go back and figure out what exactly I did. I think I just really I figured there's no way I would hold him off the rest of the time, so I just started diving in harder, entering 3, and my favorite line just on the yellow line in 1 and 2, sorry. And but this seemed a lot of people started running up top, and so I had to really figure out how to run the top line, and I started diving in deeper and swinging out wider than trying to diamond it off the corner, and it was really starting to pick my pace up, and doing so, it kept pinching Brian off the corner. I was giving him the bottom. I didn't want to block him that far. But yeah, that seems like my story every time I go here. I run the bottom, then late in the race, I figure out, I have to be up top, and it's just too late.
But at least this time you didn't leave an important set of tires waiting for you in the pits for you, right?
Oh man, I forgot about that.
I'll never let you forget, Larry. But no, I mean it was like I said. I mean, like I said, I think your pit call there was the call of the race to get you in contention to obviously leading laps and even having a chance to win there at the end. It was really fun to watch you and Larry, or sorry, you and Levi and Sebastian battling it out, and then like I said, and Brian joining the mix there at the end. I mean, so you guys again, 120 laps caution free. You guys kind of pitted around a 4-lap window between you three, Brian about 15 laps later, and then you all find a way to be within about 2 seconds of each other once it comes down to crunch time at the end. It's just the level of competition that you guys are showing tonight. It's gonna be hard fought the rest of the season here, and you go to kind of a sister track next week, if you will. This time a 3/4 mile oval of Richmond. Do you feel like you'll be able to take some things from here over to that one?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe entering turn 3 at Richmond, because that's kind of more like a turn 3 here. But with how these tires are on these cars, the front stretch being just a whole slight turn, I think it's definitely going to be interesting on the long run. Be a lot of drifting going on.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's going to be a handful to drive those. You're right, out of 4 down the front. So, but I mean, again, just well done tonight to say kind of snag that second from Levi at the very end there. But like I said, just made the strategy work super well tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor here for any thanks and shouts for that runner-up tonight.
I definitely want to shout out all my teammates this race. Devon Brock, a special shout out to him. He's really improving a lot. I know his lap counter isn't exactly imaging or mirroring or whatever the saying is what he's doing on track, but I noticed the first good maybe half the first run he was really keeping up with all of us, and this is only his 3rd ever oval race on iRacing, so he's definitely doing a great job. James Heater and Levi Cox, and shout out to Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram and the lead sponsor Hash Bros Performance. And big shout out to you guys for always doing a great broadcast, and it's going to be fun watching this back over again.
Yeah, this was definitely a wild one for the strategies, and then let's say that fight at the end, it was definitely a well-earned one. But yeah, so I enjoyed this one, Larry. As I probably take a little bit of a breather, get something to drink, get some water, and say and definitely enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. Because like I said, that was definitely a hard-fought one tonight, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that leaves us one driver left to chat with. That's going to be our race winner, so we'll catch up to him as he was kind of doing his drifts through the turns here. So you were doing enough drifting during the race. That's you kind of perfected the drifting post race as well. I mean, you about ran that full lap after the race, either kind of burning the rear tires or drifting it, and it looked like you had a fair bit of practice during the race. I mean, how tough was it for you tonight to kind of keep that thing where you wanted it to be throughout the race tonight?
It was very challenging. I'd probably have to say this is probably compared to Charlotte in terms of just how hard it was to just keep this thing going straight. It was a lot of fun. That first stage was kind of a learning curve because I didn't know how hard I could push the tires or how hard I could send it into the corner. And I felt like I saved my tires pretty good. So when I tried pushing and I saw that I wasn't making any inroads, I'm like, oh, that's weird. So decided to undercut, and I'm changed my mentality. I was like, all right, I'll push a lot, see how it goes, see how the fall off was. And to be honest, it felt like that's how you had to drive this thing. You just had to overdrive it. I don't know if it was because the tires just weren't getting hot enough so you can overdrive it and get away with it, or it's just because of how much horsepower this car has, so you can, like you said, kind of drift it around the corner. So I don't know, man. It was a lot of fun, and I almost lost it there a few times. I was making a few brake bias adjustments and almost lost it, but thankfully I kept it in one piece and I got the victory.
Definitely. You showed incredible car control, especially in the latter stages of probably the last 20 laps. At the beginning of the race, you were sitting in second. You kind of just, let the leaders go by. You let Levi go by. It seems like you were kind of just trying to study and figure out where he was going, and he went up to that high line for very early on in the race. Was that something that you were kind of looking at right before you started the pit?
I kind of knew already from previous races with the Xfinity cars and trucks that the Highline was gonna be in the long run the preferred lane. I just didn't know, like I said earlier, how hard I could really push it. So to be honest, I was just taking it easy. And there was times where I thought that I was pushing it, but the guys behind me were catching me, and the leader was pulling away. So I was really confused at that first part of the race. So I tried some different things, and there at the end of the race, I figured out a good line that worked for me. Sending it pretty deep, pretty low in the corner, letting it slide up to the fence and exit high seemed to work pretty good for me in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I think the fastest way to 3 and 4 was just the bottom. It was just drifting the whole time. It was a lot of car control needed for that. So it was a lot of fun.
And that's something Chris mentioned while we were watching, is that it looked like you guys were pretty much just having to drive the car off the right rear, because it just, no matter what you did, it just, like, every time we'd watch it, you'd almost see the car, it would look kind of like it was in a four-wheel drift almost through, especially like you said, through 3 and 4. Was that something that you kind of could feel in the car itself as well, or did it feel maybe a little bit more planted than from what we were looking at from the outside in?
Um, yeah, it definitely worked off the right rear, but it felt like you had to push the right front in the middle of the corner to carry that speed through the center of the corner, and then right about after the center to the exit, you would use the horsepower on the right rear to kind of kick it. So it would go in, right? It would kind of plow a little bit. It would go up the track, and then you would give it like a little bit of throttle, and the rear would kick out, and then you would just carry a lot more speed than just going in there nice, letting it go up, rotate. You would just lose so much time. So yeah, like I said, I mean, yeah, I definitely worked the right rear, but you had to work the right front a lot to make up speed as well. So it was a balance.
Well, Sebastian, I see you got that Red Bull car, that Red Bull Toyota. It looks like it gave you enough wings to float your way onto a victory. I know you had to defend a little bit, but is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I'll shout out you guys for putting on this broadcast again. I love watching back the broadcast, see what action happened throughout the field, what you guys think of the racing, see if there's any mistakes or things that I can learn as a driver. Want to thank Larry for putting on this league. It's been a blast, to be honest. I didn't think it was gonna be this much fun, but man, it's been a hell of a ride, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
I will say, and you broke the streak. I say it took a couple races, but pole winner now officially gets the race win as well. And yeah, I mean, say that, like I said, I mean, you had to work for it, side, and so I know maybe some special family visitation when your brother swung by and was able to hang out with you. So maybe gave you a little bit extra pep in your step, if you will, there. But just awesome job though tonight, Sebastian. At least it's always fun watching you race in whichever league you're in, and so it just shows. I mean, it doesn't matter what form or car it is, you're gonna have a attempt to kind of go after the win, and have the ability to do that. So. Enjoy this one. I'll say you probably had to work up a pretty good sweat too, as Levi mentioned. It took about half the race, but I say he was feeling the drip a little bit. So, yeah, just great job tonight, man. I say obviously a good bounce back after a tough one 2 weeks ago at Pocono. So, looking forward to seeing what you got for these guys the rest of the season.
Thank you, man. That was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for next week.
All right, Chris, that is our race winner in that number 23 of Sebastian Mariners. We'll say watch him go back again through that Polish victory lap. But yeah, so that's race number 3 for the Horsepower Racing League here tonight at Phoenix. Again, next week we'll be at Richmond Raceway. And I'll say, so again, a new league, but say get you kind of your feet wet on the broadcasting side of things. I mean, so I guess kind of two-parter. What'd you feel like? How'd you enjoy the race time? And then, I mean, what'd you think of kind of doing the broadcasting side of things, but instead of being behind the wheel there?
It's definitely different being up here in the booth with you. I've never really looked at myself as a commentator. I hope the fans and everyone enjoyed it. I hope you liked me being up here and stuff like that. But as a driver, it's really interesting to kind of take yourself out of the steering wheel and out of the seat and watch how everyone else drives. Obviously, in iRacing, you can kind of do the ghost races where you get to watch the racing here, or you get to watch the broadcast on Twitch or YouTube, yourself. But being up here in the booth and kind of just watching it all unfold is a completely different experience, and I like to tell everyone to come do that. On the second part of that question, I definitely enjoyed the race. I've raced with some of these guys before. Larry, Cedric, Zach. A lot of these guys I've raced with at the start of my iRacing career. So it was really cool to see how far these guys have come. And it just tells you how much of a close community iRacing is. I haven't raced with some of these guys in years, and just to come back and see them almost feels like a reunion. And I like to tell everyone, if you're interested in any of this, they're definitely willing to try you out in this league. I know if you just want to try out iRacing in general, it's a great sim. I highly recommend it. But those are my two caveats, I think, to this race. But I definitely had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a blast having you with me on this one. I mean, obviously, so we get to have a lot of fun racing. So to kind of do a similar situation, but like I said, on the outside looking, you're right, it is a very different kind of point of view to have that from the kind of on the outside looking. It's weird at first, but then you start getting familiar with it. And you, like I said, kind of try to learn from those guys to improve your own abilities as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have. And you're exactly right. I say obviously they still got some space for drivers. Again, a really well run league. Say Larry's definitely put a lot of his own time and effort into this thing. So definitely take a look for them. I say again, it's the HPRL Horsepower Racing League. I believe the website is HPRL League. Actually, I'm sorry, HPR League. .wixsite.com/HPRL, so you should be able to find them over there. So of course, you can do an iRacing search as well in the league portal and try to find them through there as well. So for us, Chris, that's going to do it for us this evening. So I hope you all enjoyed it tonight. We'll be back on Green White Checkered TV on Sunday for the Area 51 Super Speedway Xfinity Series. Should be myself and Matt Wagner over there. I believe they will be at Daytona. But yeah, so until then, hope you enjoyed it tonight, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy your weekend, and until Sunday, take care. Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.